Hello and welcome back to the Final Flight podcast. I'm myself, James, is back with Rich and Joe's made it tonight. So we're looking forward to getting stuck into Epsom and the Derby this weekend. Are we all excited? Are we ready for it, lads?
Yeah, it's going to be good. Can't wait.
Yeah, mate. Just to sort of add to that a bit, I was at work today and we were looking through and there's some top class racing, isn't there? You know, it's not just sometimes you see meetings and it's normally one big race on a Saturday. You've got some serious races Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, like you say, we've got a couple of good races tomorrow, and Saturday's a pretty decent day. And the Derby looks extremely competitive, which is obviously what we want. We want these sort of big fields, competitiveness, where we can't just pinpoint these short price favourites. It's we could all probably we might all end up picking a different horse today, but we'll see. But yeah, obviously we've had a decent month last month, another profitable month for the tips on Twitter and stuff. So we're doing pretty well with that. I know today's come second, but we'll look to try and improve and have a good June. Starting obviously with Epsom this weekend. So like I say, lads, we're going to get straight into it. No messing about. Straight into Friday tomorrow on the 3:10, the Coronation Cup. A tasty looking race. We've obviously got Westover as favourite in here. Emily Upjohn returns with Frankie in his last ever Derby meeting appearance, Hurricane Lane, Point Lonsdale. So yeah, to kick us off, I'll let you go first, Joe, mate. If you want to kick us off in this race, who's your selection and why?
My selection, and it was like that all the way along with the two favourites, but I've decided to go with Emily Upjohn. Obviously I backed her when she got beat by Tuesday, where I thought she was very unlucky. But she'll love the ground tomorrow. I think that the good ground she'll really like that. She's getting a bit away from Westover and the rest of the field. And just the last run, the run before she had the break, she seemed to settle a bit better. Now, Frankie's always said in his post sort of race interviews that even though her head goes, she's not pulling hard, but she looked to really settle in her hood the last time. And I just think, obviously, with the getting the ground she likes, Frankie back on, he clearly likes the horse. I think he could take this one. However, my only sort of, query is, will she be fit? And the main thing, it's not a huge field for her to get cover. Now, a lot of the times, a lot of the recent races, especially when she comes second to Tuesday and her last race, she got some nice cover and she travelled nicely in the race. Now, I think it could turn tactical. And I remember when I watched Westover win in Ireland from second, so she shot off and settled better than, shall I say, Emily Upjohn did for the rest of the season. So Emily Upjohn seems to be a better price, and I'm going to take 3-1, and I'll be having a little go on Emily Upjohn.
Nice, Joe. I like it. What about you, Rich? Are you with Emily Upjohn, or have you gone in a different direction?
No, I've gone in a completely different direction. So basically, looking at the trends, I've got Hurricane Lane coming out on top in this. So he's going to be my selection. He bolted up last time out. He showed the fire still burns inside. He's still maintained his ability. If you look at the time, it was quite similar to his Irish Derby win in 2021. So he's also slightly quicker if you compare the times between the two derbies that were won by Hurricane Lane and Westover. Westover won it in 2 minutes 34, whereas Hurricane Lane was a second faster on very similar ground. So he is my choice. They've got very similar profiles as well. They're both placed in the Derby and then went on to win the Irish. So I think he's race fit. He bolted up last time, and I think he's a good thing. My only concern with Emily Upjohn is one of the trends is that all horses run within 70 days is a 92% winning trend. And I think Emily Upjohn is like 200 plus days, so that'd be my only concern with her.
It is Rich off the top of the head.
200. You got a 230 day for Emily Upjohn.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I mean, she gets the weight allowance, but yeah, it's just the concern, is she fully race fit for this?
Well, that's good. So we're going to start off with 3 completely different selections in the first race, so we should have all bases covered near enough. But I'm actually going to go for one that I think you tipped up the other day, but I can't remember if it run or not. But Point Lonsdale is going to run in here for Ryan Moore and Aidan O'Brien. And I think this horse is an extremely progressive horse. Obviously won last time on soft grade Group 2 pretty well against Mushtaba, who obviously we know is a pretty decent yardstick. And again did win a race on heavy. Again beat a first time out beat Visualization, who we again tipped on that day.
Yeah.
Thought we were for all money going to win that, but Point Lonsdale just seems to stay for days, and I think it gives me sort of staying vibes of Kyprios vibes. Can race quite lazily, but then just stay on all day long. And I think obviously this step up to 1 mile 4 furlong, I think it's going to suit Point Lonsdale down to the ground against some of these sort of older horses. Similar age horses, but more experienced, should I say. I think Point Lonsdale could be the improver. And I know quite a little bit of money's come for the outsider, the German horse Tunes, obviously from the news that they're going to water, or they have been watering. So let's just hope they aren't going to water, and then the heavens are going to open like it always seems to do whenever these big meetings water courses. For me, I don't really know why they're watering. For flat racing, you've got good ground. I don't really know why it's doing it. I think a certain trainer might have been a little bit unhappy, so they're doing it to suit them. But yeah, I'm going to go with the each way play of Point Lonsdale. I think it's going to be a really good race to watch. So yeah, we're going to move on then to the second race of the next of the day, Friday, the Oaks. This looks like a brilliant race. It's super excited for this race. Like I say, Save the Last Dance, Soul Sister, both looked really good last time out. Running Lion, Eternal Hope, and so on and so forth. A nice big field for us to get stuck into. I'll go to you then, Rich. Who's your tip for the Oaks and the ladies' race?
So I've gone for 2 here. My first selection is top of the trends again, Soul Sister. So a good winner last time out at York when she beat the well-fancied Infinite Cosmos. And then Navaki was second, who was also rated 113. So I think that's good form. Stepping up in trip shouldn't be a problem because she was eased down the line. So the trip, I think, will be fine for her. On the trend side, favourites only have a 17% strike rate. So I'm staying clear of the heavily backed favourite. I think she's 11 to 10 now.
Yeah, you're looking at that sort of price for Save the Last Dance, yeah.
I know she bottled up in Chester, but I questioned the form in that. It was heavy ground. I think the race kind of fell apart. So I'd been a stay away from that. My second selection is Heartache Tonight is it David Moussier?
Yep.
So all 3 starts have been over in France. She's a half sister to Wonderful Tonight, who's rated 117. So I also read somewhere that the trainer said if you compare the two, Heartache Tonight would be a step ahead of Wonderful Tonight. So I think that's something to take note of. Apparently this mare's got a lot more speed, but if you watch the race last time out, she was coming back near the line, so I think the step up and trip will suit, and I think she could outrun her odds at 28, I think she is. So they're my 2.
Like it, a nice big price there. And like I say, as you mentioned it, reading there, obviously a couple of sort of heavy ground runs in France. Who knows what the good ground's going to do for that one? She could come and absolutely, definitely run out them odds, I think. What about you, Joe? You got any big prices, or are you at the top of the market with a low percentage chance favourite?
No, mate, this is where my nap goes. Soul Sister. I really like Soul Sister, to be honest. I was saying this today. I think if you ignore the run in the mud, where she just flopped, didn't enjoy it at all, I think this one would be a lot closer in the market, shall we say. Now, Save the Last Dance was impressive to the eye the last day, but like Rich said there, just following on from that, it was heavy ground. I wouldn't say the jockeys give up, but I think it was clear that Ryan's horse handled the ground the best. And I think all the horses got tired in behind. And, it was impressive, but the clock didn't show it was that impressive too. Now, the clock backs up Soul Sister's run last time out. I thought she was very impressive. Like I say, I think she loved the faster ground again that she got at York. Like Rich said there, she beat Navaki, who was, had some great form in the book. I think it's typical Frankie's the last dance, shall we call it, in the Oaks. I think he's got this one tied up in the bag, to be honest. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, it's a shame that Frankie's not on Save the Last Dance, because that would have been quite a good name for him to go out on and win this race. And I do think Soul Sister's got the potential. I sort of marked her down as, obviously that Newbury run was pretty poor, but like you say, she did bolt up at York and it was quite impressive. And you do have to sort of step back and think, well, that was a pretty good run. She's got to go very close. Like I say, I'm against Save the Last Dance. Can't have the favourite at all. The form with Chester, anything coming here with the Chester form, I'd probably put a line through it, because, like I say, the ground was just not the best at all, and I think that everything just collapsed, and she just had her way with it, really. Albeit it did look a tidy win to the eye. I'm just not too sure about that one. So the one I've actually gone for, so we're going to go for another completely different horse, but a horse that I really like, and it's Running Lion, Oisin Murphy. Riding for John and Fady Gosden. I like this filly. She won a listed race last time out pretty easily, and I just think that the further she goes, the better she looks. And I think the ground will suit her down to the ground. She's obviously unbeaten in the last 4. She only lost on debut, but again, that's obviously early doors. And she just looks progressive, and I think she's going to have a real good chance of an each way play against. Like I say, I put a line through the favourite, and I just really like her. She beat Sumo Sam by 4 lengths comfortably in the listed race at 1 mile 2. So I just think 1 mile 4 stepping up. Oisin Murphy's on fire at the moment. I know he had another couple of winners today.
Is he about 6-1, James? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, she's about. You can get about 6-1
price
currently. And like I say, I do like the each way play in this race. I think you're taking win bets to the top 2, and I'd rather have an each way against, because there's not, apart from them 3, I won't really go for much else. So I'm happy to sort of take a chance on Running Lion, Oisin Murphy, to carry on his good form in some of these top races. I think again, another really good race to kick us off. I think it's going to be a good day tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. Just a quick one.
Yeah,
I know a lot of you probably follow, and whoever's watching probably follows Oisin Murphy on Instagram and Twitter and whatever, but he keeps posting this horse. I think he posted it last week, and he posted it a couple of days ago. So I think he does like this one, but like you say, I think you've got the. I think if anyone wants value, I think you've definitely got the value in there, 6-1, and I can see it going off the other side of an each way price. I can see it being 4-1. I think the bookies have sort of catch on to that.
Yeah, like I say, I think the top, it's probably going to be one of the top 3, and I just think the each way play. And I do like the horse anyway, and I've sort of earmarked for the Oaks. So fingers crossed, Oisin can do the business and beat both of you two, and it'll be another point for myself. Right, I'll put us. What I'll do is I'll do anything else for Friday and Saturday at the end, and we'll just jump straight on to Saturday. So we're going to go straight into the first race. Obviously, all the races, the big races, are sort of early on Saturday with the FA Cup final happening. So we'll go with the Diomed Stakes at 12.50. A bit of a small field, but I'll let you go first, Joe. Have you got a pick for this?
Yeah, I'm all about the Godolphin horse, to be honest. I know you could say they haven't been in the richest vein of form so far, but I do like this one. Won last time out, won pretty impressively.
Let's go Godolphin colours.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I'd say I wouldn't say it's a weak race, but I think if this one's got anything about it, and I think it's with the right partnership, I think this one could take it pretty easily. I'm guessing Rich is on this one.
Is this Highland Avenue?
Yeah,
correct. Yep.
He's up there. He's top of the trends along with Regal Reality, but I've also gone a bit left field in this race.
You haven't picked 2 in a 6-horse race, have you, Rich? Because that's just taking the biscuit.
No, I'm not going for Highland Avenue. I'm going for something else.
You're not going for the Godolphin runner. I am gobsmacked. I thought this would be if it wins, the Gilet is getting bought. Go on.
So Highland Avenue, he tops the trends. He was third to Adiar, who's also we all know is a class horse. Second to Anmat, who has gone on to win a Group 1 in France. So I admit the form's quite strong. He's been in Mesdames dining at the Group 1 and Group 2 sort of tables, drops down to Group 3 here. So I think he's a worthy favourite, but I'm taking a chance on Marie's Diamond at 25-1.
Wow. Absolute outsider, I believe.
He is top 3 in the trends, actually. if you look at it. So I think a good each way price. Very unlucky last time out at York. Tried to make all, finished second and got pipped near the line. I think if he adopts the front running tactics again, dropping back to a mile, I think this is, he's got every chance of hopefully holding on for a place at a good price.
Yeah, and I think I've got a feeling that you, if that wins, that may frank the form of a potential anything else selection from yourself later on, but we'll see. My selection in this, like I say, I haven't got a strong opinion at all, to be honest. I did think it looked a weak race, and I do think it's going to be one of them where either the favourite Highland Avenue is either going to just absolutely bolt up here, like you say. The third behind Ammat and Adiar's incredible form compared to the rest of this, but I think he'll either win easily or, like Rich says, something out of left field's gonna pip it at a big prize potentially. But with there being only sort of 6 runners, it's not much of an each way race for myself. So my sort of tentative selection would probably have been Highland Avenue with Joe, I think, and we'll definitely have a point on the reverse forecast with Marie's Diamond, I think.
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to leave obviously the big race to the end, and we're going to go with the 2:10, the Elizabeth Stakes. Another good-looking race. I'll come to you first, Joe. Or did I come to you first last time? I can't remember. We'll go with you, Joe. Have you got a selection in the 2:10 Elizabeth Stakes? A lovely-looking race. Favourites, Prosperous Voyage, currently Potapova, and the rest. What's your selection, mate? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm all aboard the Frankie party again, and I'm all aboard the favourite party. No, I just think, he's rated a lot better, and I can't have the second favourite, Potapova. I remember watching this one at Newcastle quite a while ago, to be honest. He just didn't look like he had the attitude at all. I believe, was he pulled up on his last run?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah, pulled up on his last run. I just think this combination as well with Frankie and the train is not one you see, often. And to be honest, I can see this one winning pretty easily. Like I say, it's not a combination you normally see. And I think Frankie will want to get as many winners as he can. It's not like, for me, it won't be a massive betting race because Prosperous Voyage is pretty short. But like I say, I would probably side with the favourite here in terms of Frankie on being rated, a lot higher than the others, and his form's pretty strong as well. I know his reappearance wasn't the greatest, but I think you can forgive that, to be honest.
No, fair play. I like it. What about you, Rich? I sort of said before you crack on. It's a little bit tough because obviously the 6 runners. I mean, I'm assuming most people must have Sky Bet and there might be some extra places. But what's your selection in this? It's quite tough to call, I think.
Yeah. So the top 2 in the market top the trends together. Both fit 12 out of 15 trends. If I was going to pick one of them, it might be Prosperous Voyage for Frankie. But again, it's not a race I've got a strong opinion on. So I've landed on Astral Bow. Is it? I think finished third last. Yeah, finished third last time out in a Group 2 where Al Hassan finished second, who's then gone on to win next time out. So I think that's quite good form. I think he looks quite handy. He kind of faded into third, so the step back in Trippier I think is going to suit. So I think he's about 8, and I think that might be a good price to potentially upset the apple cart.
Yeah, well, obviously you beat me to it there, Rich. The selection for me was and Joe's disappeared. The selection for me was going to be Astral Bow. I know, obviously, it was Prosperous Voyage's reappearance, but he just seemed to look so flat, and has obviously been beaten by Astral Bow. So I'm not too sure why Astral Bow is so big in the market, because, like you say, that was 1 mile 4 on soft ground. This is going to be so that was 1 mile 1 on soft ground. This is a mile and a mile and a half, a little bit of a drop back in trip on better ground. You could see Astral Bow potentially getting the better of Prosperous Voyage again, unless Prosperous Voyage has somehow improved massively from that reappearance run. And I just think the prices, when you're sort of looking at 8-1 or 6-4, I think it seems a bit of a no-brainer for me, to be honest. And I've gone with Astral Bow as well. They're running off the same way as they all are, apart from Random Harvest. I think who's the outsider, running off a bit more weight. But I think it's going to be a tight race, and I'd definitely be taking the 8-1 over the sort of 6-4, 7-4 favourite. Are you back, Joe?
Yeah, mate, I'm still here because I'm on my phone. Sorry about that. I was just checking up something that I'd written down on a horse later on.
Nobody's way. Well, yeah, like we say, we've got two selections for Astro Boy each way. Like I say, potentially, if you're looking at sort of, I definitely, I mean, you're looking at two places, but like I say, I couldn't have Potapova at all, and I think it's going to be a prosperous voyage against Astro Boy again for me. I know Roman Miss for Oshin looks a decent horse, but I quite fancy Astro Boy to run a big race at 8-1. So that'll be my selection as well. Right then, so that's 2 for Astro Boy and 1 for Prosperous Voyage. Dettori's going to have some week if it's up to do with you, Joe.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next race, which is the handicap, the 3-year-old Dash Handicap, 245. Have you got a selection in this, anyone? Unfortunately, I've not really got a selection in this. Or did I? I can't remember now. I've lost it. Carry on. I'll let you guys go first. Take it away, Rich.
So in this one, I've gone for Russet Gold. Third last time out at York. Backed into odds on, though, so they obviously fancied him. It's his first one back since the gelding op, so I think he potentially was running keen, and hopefully this will calm him down and focus him. And if he does settle, hopefully he can get his head in front and show the potential that they all thought he had last time.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Russet Gold for Rich. What about yourself, Joe? Have you got a selection in the Dash?
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I think it's a pretty tough race. I did like Tatterstall, but Oshin's on Estate, I believe. Now, Tatterstall beat Estate by 2 lengths last time. Not last time for Tatterstall. The time before that, making all beaten by 2 lengths. But there's a bit of weight getting given to Estate now, and Oshin's on, which sort of does hinder it a bit. Tried to make all at York last time out and just didn't end up not getting the trip, but didn't last it out. He looked very keen and sort of flattened out at the end. But I think York's a pretty galloping track. I think even though it was a 5-furlong race, especially at York, I think you probably want a horse who's gonna you can cover up and give a late push to. When we were at York, you don't see many front runners winning at the track really, and I just think Michael Dodds is sort of. I do sort of fancy him over the 5-furlong. Connor Beasley, I think he's an underrated jockey, and I think it's about 9-1 now. I think if this one gets the run of the race up front, which I can't see many front runners in there, I think he'll definitely get a place. So that would probably be my selection for this one, mate, albeit not a big one.
No, I like it. Like I say, they're very competitive, big field, 5-furlong handicaps. They're very tough to call, and you've just got to sort of land on a decent one, but there'll probably be extra places about, so a couple of decent each-way prices there. I had a sort of tentative look, but I couldn't really come up with anything really. Estate, maybe quite liked, but he's gone up a few pounds for his win last time. I run a decent 5-furlong time, so I tried to look at some of the times, but it was a bit difficult, really. It was a bit of a minefield, to be honest, so yeah, I won't really have a strong selection myself, but I'll happily follow you two with those 2 each-way selections. I like it. Nice one. Yeah. Right, the second to last race, before we go on to the big one, the 355 we're going to do, which is the Leicester Piggott handicap, which looks a really nice race. Again, over the 1 mile 2-furlong trip. There's a couple of nice horses in here. What we're thinking of this one, Joe? Have you got a selection for this handicap before we move on to the big one?
To be honest, I think this is probably one of the toughest handicaps. But one that caught my eye in terms of the markets, and he ran well last time out, was Balance Play. I think it is. That's the horse I was looking for because my notes went missing, and obviously I don't have my phone here. So if you want to skip on to Rich, and I will just try and find them. Because I did write them down. I did take a photo on my phone. So jump to Rich.
We're obviously a very professional podcast here, as you can see. We do things right at the Final Flight podcast.
I do apologise.
Go on then, Rich. We'll move on to you while Joe has a look at his notes. Off you go, mate.
So in this one, I've gone for Torito. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Torito.
Finished second. That's the one. Finished second last time out, but first and second pulled well clear from the rest of the pack. So I think his potential handicap mark here could be quite reasonable. And like I say, it's a very tricky race to call, but it's his debut in a handicap. If the handicapper's not got him right, I think he could be well in, potentially.
Oh, I like that, mate. That's a nice little pick. Currently around the 6-7-1 mark. So yeah, I'd be happy with that. For me, my other really selection in this again are two very tentative ones because, like Joe said earlier, it's a very competitive handicap. I think again another bit of a minefield, but I sort of drifted towards Oisin Murphy's ride. I know he did a couple of good winners for us at York the other week, and I just quite like him in these handicaps. He does seem to crop up on one here or there, and it was Masai Mara. You're looking at 13-2-ish. Just held on last time to win a Class 3 handicap, but just looked mega green. I just thought it was all over the place, jinking a little bit and things like that. So I'd give that one. It's gone up £5, but I could see with Oisin taking over the ride, a little bit more of an experienced jockey. I think that one could improve potentially beyond that. And again, won't mind the trip. Probably just got to the front a bit too soon. So if Oisin can hold on to that one a little bit longer than last time, I think he's got a really good chance. And I'd probably just have like I say, the second one was a tentative little probably back up on the one Joe mentioned, balance play. I think for Andrea Zini, I think that one's going to go pretty close. Looking pretty progressive last time. Second in a decent race. I think with improvement could go pretty well. Again, the handicap mark, obviously debuting a handicap, they could have, if they hadn't got them right, like I say, they could improve beyond that and be a little bit ahead of the mark. So, but again, it's a very tough handicap to choose. But I'd go with Masai Mara and probably a little bit of balance play each way. Have you looked at your notes then, Joe?
Yeah, mate. Obviously rated 107, but gets quite a bit of weight off the favourites. Now he beat Greek Order in his reappearance run last time out. He was second, but he beat Greek Order, and Greek Order's no shakes. Greek Order was, backed into heavy favourite that day. I think he went off 4-6. Ryan Moore on. Like you said there, debut in a handicap, you just think, has he sort of run him in a strong race to see what he could offer, but not shown too much. Now Atsini jumps on, and like you said, and I just said there, debut on a handicap off a low weight. I think he could have a real good chance here in a pretty tough handicap, I'd say. So that would be my selection.
Well, we go on.
I believe he started off at 10-1, and he's already into 15-2 now.
Yeah, a little bit of money. Like I say, we tipped up Greek Order last time when it won in that handicap. So again, if we're putting that form to the test with that selection, balance play could go and boost that form and go and win himself. I think it's a good each way play there, personally. That's why it would have been my sort of second tentative pick. I like that one, to be honest with you. So yeah, happy days. Nice one. Anything else to add before we move on to the big one?
No, that's it. I'm looking forward to the big race.
Right, lads, here we go then. We're going back to 1:30 in the afternoon. Saturday at Epsom, the Epsom Derby, the big race, the one that we've all been waiting for. It's one of the best races to watch this. And personally, I think it's looking to be an absolute cracking race. And it's very open. I think you could give massive chances to a lot of these. So you sort of, like you say, you've got Augusta Road in. Can he bounce back? He's in at favourite. Military Orders look well. Arrest, Passenger supplemented for it. The Dante winner, the Foxes, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go to you, Joe. Who's the winner? And if you tell me it's Dettori, I'm going to switch you off.
No, mate. I think Richard Kingscourt is coming here for some revenge. Now, if you look at his run at York, you could say Kingscourt got it all wrong. You could say, the gaps just didn't open. But I think, they definitely thought a lot of this horse, putting him in there. I believe they spent £45,000 on supplementing for the race, which obviously isn't cheap. And now they've paid £85,000 to supplement him for this. So it's a lot of money to have thrown at a horse if they don't think he's going to get that back. And let's be honest, I know everyone loves the horses, but in terms of when you're at the top, it is sort of a business for these type of people, that are investing the money. They want to see a return as well as the horses win. I just think when Kings could come off, you could see his body language at York. He was, he wasn't happy with himself. He said he'll take full ownership of it. And, it just, he and I believed he would have won that race because he looked unbalanced. He was getting dragged around, and then he sort of kicked on for a place, which I thought was impressive, considering it was only his second run. And he seems pretty stuck to the job in terms of good mentality for a racehorse. Settles well. I think he's got a nice draw out wide. If he settles in and gets the gaps, as you would say, I think this one will definitely be there. And I think the price at the minute's around 6-1. I think he's definitely up for a place. A quick mention to a few others. Augusta Rodan, I know we tipped it up on here, didn't we, last time out? And I don't think Aiden's horses at that point in time are running any sort of race. And we seen the last meeting at the Curragh last weekend, the chop and change in Luxembourg. I know the commentator said it as well. He looked as fat as a pig on his reappearance, and then he comes out and he absolutely bolts up. He looks like a different horse. So, Aidan O'Brien could definitely do that. But Passenger, I just think he's a classy horse with not a lot of experience. And I think if he stepped on from the York run, albeit it was his second run, I think he could run a big race here. And I've wore the blue for him.
I'm going to say it looks like I've missed out on the memo on the blue. Yeah. No, I like it, Joe. You've made some really good, valid points there, and I do think, like you say, they've spent a hell of a lot of money on supplementing this horse, and if they come out with nothing at the end, I think they'll be thinking what's gone on. I think they did fancy it to win the Dante, and like you say, that it's one or two things. They either want to recoup the money, or they just know he's a really top class horse and want to have a crack, and money's not really anything to them, so they just know they've got a nice horse to give it a go. So I'm really interested to see if Kingsgoat can get it right. Potentially, it'd not really be a jockey for me that I quite like in these big races. I think you need the big race mindset, and I don't know if he's fully got that, to be honest. He's been beaten on a few biggies lately. And there's another, Havlin's obviously one of the worst jockeys ever. I won't even mention him. I don't even think he's got a runner, thank God.
I like to see you supporting the colours for the horse you picked the other day, James.
Yeah, true. Right, so my selection in this, I'm going to take a little bit of a chance on one here at an each way price. You can still sort of get around 12-1 for this horse, and I'm going to take a chance on a horse called Spruel or Spruel. Not sure how you pronounce it, but it's John Harrington, Shane Foley on. And I just quite like this horse. I've tipped up a horse twice now that this horse beat quite easily, and a horse called Up and Under, and obviously didn't run the other day. Well, I thought the form would have been franked, and we'd be sat here saying that the form's been franked by Up and Under. He obviously he won the Derby trial, beating that horse, won it easy enough, and I think the step up to 1 mile 4 is exactly what this horse needs. The ground is a little bit of an unknown, but again, I think they will suit when they're running these types of races at this time of year. They've got to suit it really 9 times out of 10, and it might even bring some improvement out of him. And like I say, I mean, I looked at the breed. The Dam and the Sire have both won on decent ground, firm ground, and good ground. So he's drawn in stall 6, which I think a few things come out today that you don't really want to be drawn low.
Yeah,
which obviously a couple of the biggies are. I know, and you don't really want to be drawn too high. Sort of 6 to 10, I think, was around the sort of golden section, and he just about sneaks in there. I know the likes of Military Order and that are in there as well. Augusta Rodin's in 10, so it's going to be a pretty tasty start, I think.
Sorry to interrupt, James. I did see a stat for the Arrest fans that I believe he's out. Is it stall 13 or something?
Stall 13, yeah, and I think there's no horse ever won from stall 13 or something.
The last horse to win, I believe, was in 1992 or something. So Frankie's going to have to display, that the heart that some people say he doesn't have anymore. I think to win from there.
Well, like I say, you won't think it'd be too much of an issue, but obviously certain stats don't lie. But yeah, like I say, I just Augusta Rodin obviously bombed out in the Guineas, and you'd have to think. I'm not sure how he's such a short price. It was in around. I mean, he's drifting out a touch at the moment. He's in around the 3-1 mark, so it does make you wonder if people are maybe losing that faith a little bit. And I know a lot of money come after Aidan O'Brien's had a really good sort of week and a half or so, with a couple of his big ones bouncing back. Military Orders obviously in there. Looked really good last time on the all-weather. When the Lingfield card obviously was changed over. Arrest, like I say, can't have him because he's drawn too far wide, and I'm not sure he's going to be good enough to win this. Passenger is the tasty one for the supplementation for you. The Foxes, not too sure. So again, I landed on Sproul, and my only other sort of mention was going to be again the Dante second, who I thought was going to come nick it, White Birch. You know, he's run 2 absolute blinding races where both times he's absolutely had a disgraceful start basically, and ended up held up at the back and come flying late on. So again, the step up to 1 mile 4's got to suit. We know he goes on the ground because of the second in the Dante at York. The draw's not the best, obviously, on the sort of trends, but I do think one of them two could go really close at a big price each way. So yeah, my 2 sort of selections would be Sproul each way and White Birch again. Fingers crossed. What do you think? What do you think, Rich?
So it's a 4-way tie on top of the trends. So you've got the Foxes, Spreewell for you, James, Military Order, and Arrest all top the trends together with the same percentages.
Right.
You've got favourites winning this race at 33%. Top 3 in the betting, 58%. Group winners before, 75%. That puts a big question mark over Military Order. Place last time out is 100%. So then you've got a question Augusta Rodin for that. There's a few I quite like. Military Order, I think, potentially is the unknown, sort of. Well, he's not unknown, we know about him, but it's a big step up in class. But I think the way he runs, if they let him get a lead, I think it'll be tough to catch. Especially, I think Epsom's all downhill from 5 furlongs out. I think he could potentially just bowl along and not be caught. So he was one of the selections. I do like White Birch. We was at the Dante at York and he came flying down the rail to just miss out on first. But like you say, I think he's got a low draw, which is not ideal. Again, the Foxes, I thought he won well on Dante, but again, low draws. The Dante is usually quite a good trial for this, but if you look at the first 2, low draws here is a very big negative trend. Passenger, again, supplemented, but I don't think he's got the experience for this. I just don't think. I think he potentially might place, but no, he's not for me. I quite like Arrest.
He's got to break like a 30-year draw stat.
I know, but he was a decisive winner last time out at Chester. I know the ground was shocking, but I do like Chester as some sort of trial for the Derby. It shows he's got balance. He looks to have a nice attitude, and again, the only concern is, does he need some juice in the ground? But if they are watering, I don't think that's going to be a big hindrance to him. Drawn 13 potentially is a bit wide, but he's got the guy on board who knows this course like the back of his hand. I think he'll break and get a good position early on to give him every chance to win his last Derby before he retires. So yeah, Arrest and Military Order are my 2 that I quite fancy in this one.
I like it, like you say. You probably could just say it's written in the stars that they're going to be sort of 3 furlongs out. Frankie's on Arrest down the outside, and he just takes off, and it could pip all the. He could do it, like you say. The start and the draw is all going to be so crucial. Those drawn lawn, you know, they're probably going to get swamped, held up. There's a couple of front runners in there. Military Order's going to want to be handy, so it's going to be a lot of jostling early on. And if you don't get that early position, it's going to be so tough to peg it back, because we've seen over the history how many times sort of front runners get away from the field in this race, and it can be tough to peg that back. So fingers crossed 100%. That plenty of them are coming towards sort of the final furlong, and we get a bit of a bunch finish, and it could be anything that wins.
Like you said there, James, I think, you know, there's a lot of classy horses in this, and there's probably horses you're going to have to take out from this as a positive run from the draw, the have type of thing. Because I think, you know, you're gonna watch the race, and I think the let's be honest, I think the race is it might be a bit bold, but I think the race may be decided in the first 3 furlongs. You know, say for example, Military Order, if he doesn't get, you know, the position he wants, you know, is he going to make up the ground? Likewise for Passenger, if he's on the inside at the back, is he going to get the gaps? You know, like you say, it's all out. It's fingers crossed. It's not going to be if so and so got, you know, if Passenger got the gaps, would he have won? You know, if Frankie had ridden a rest better would you got there? Fingers crossed, they're all coming. They've all got a chance. And Richard Kingscourt's giving it that as he crosses the line.
As a side thought, if the derby gets delayed, which I think potentially it's going to do, due to the protesters, is that inexperience with Passenger going to affect the way he's going to run? Is it going to affect a lot of these? You kind of want something that's going to be relaxed, calm. Potentially, you might be best waiting just before the race to see which horse is handling the occasion best.
Yeah, maybe. I just think with Passenger, I know he didn't take the gaps, he didn't get the gaps as such last time, but I just think for a horse, on his second run to run in the Dante, get gaps closed, still stay on. I don't think Kings could really give him, that much throw the sink at it, and he still kept on, grabbed a place. I think if you could say inexperience, or you could say he's gained experience from that, and he could take a massive step forward. And I think if he does take a step forward, which hopefully the £85,000 supplement says he has, we'll see a good run from him. But like you said there, fingers crossed. There's no unanswered questions at the end of the race. The best horse wins. That's what you want, isn't it?
That's correct, John. Like you say, that's why it's such a good race. I'll just to finish on this point. The likes of Passenger, you almost don't know what's under the engine there. We don't know what would have happened in the Dante. We don't know what that horse is going to be able to achieve. The other big horses you've got in there have all sort of got a slight question mark, whether it be a previous run, a draw, or anything like that. Do they need a bit of cut in the ground and things like that? Everything's got that little niggle of there could be something against it. I think that's why it makes it so exciting, because it's so tough to pick. And like you say, let's just hope that it's super competitive. Let's hope they all run the race, and at the end of the day, we're all just stood here saying, well, the best horse won in the end, and fingers crossed one of us has at least picked it. Right then, so that's the Epsom Derby done. We're going to finish with anything else for the weekend. So I've got one, but I'll wait till the end if you want, and I'll let you go first, Joe. Have you got anything else you'd like to mention for the weekend coming?
To be totally honest, mate, I don't. I've sort of put all my focus in Epsom, really. Like you say there, you've got, and like I said before, you've got 2 days of, unbelievable racing really at Epsom, and you look, and for me, it's this and Royal Ascot I really like, and it's a very, very deep weekend, and I'd just like to finish on, the tribute to Frankie Dettori, and watching Soul Sister romp home tomorrow will be absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic, mate. I've got everything crossed for you, kind of. Go on then, Rick. Let's have a couple more for Epsom, and maybe anywhere else that you might have noticed for the weekend.
Yeah, I've got a few here. So we'll start. Where should we start? We'll start at Epsom on the Saturday. 4:30. Caius Curista, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think the horse is kind of an Epsom specialist. Completed a 5-timer last season, and 2 of those wins came at this course. He finished second day last time out, but that was on soft. But I think the Sound of Surface should see him go close in his favourite track. I've also got a couple at Doncaster. So we've got the 325 Onslow Gardens. Finished second at Ascot last season. It was the same race where Paddington finished 5th, and he's just recently gone and won the 2000 Guinness over in Ireland. So potentially could be quite smart. Did flop last time out, but I think he was keen because he's been gelded since. So that should hopefully make him settle here and bring on the improvement needed to win something like this. The next one at Doncaster is at 4 o'clock. I've got Rathgar. Finished 3rd last time out at York in a race where
Rathgar again.
Rathgar
Did you
again.
mention that, James? Last time at York?
We did, yeah. We mentioned him. It's a bit of a cliff horse for us, I think. Keeps getting the place, but carry on, Rich.
Yeah, so 3rd last time out to Chess Piece, who I think was an impressive winner carrying top weight. Not Brex in that race, went off like the Caplers, so I expect the form to kind of hold up. I think anything that went past him, it should be half decent. It's got a good lot of stamina in there. I think he's about 92, so good each way price for Doncaster there. I've got one at Musselburgh, 340, called the Lion of War. Finished 4th last time out in the same race where Rathgar finished 2nd. So potentially could frank the Rathgar form if he comes and does well here. It was a strange race last time because he became unbalanced and dropped out to the rear of the field. And it was only in the last furlong where he kind of picked up again and managed to finish 4th. So I think potentially you could maybe mark that ride up. And I think he could run his race here. And
sorry to interrupt, Rich. Was that a Newmarket?
Musselburgh.
No, that is repeated, like his last run, where he got to the back, become unbalanced.
One second. I can find it. Let me just have a quick look.
You've not written that down, Joe.
I've not written that down. Where are we? Saturday racing.
Because no, just a little, a little input on that. I think there's a lot of horses I've noticed as well, and I put in my tracker just for a little note. Newmarket at the start of the season and now is a very good track to keep an eye on in terms of horses getting unbalanced.
It was Newmarket, yeah.
It was Newmarket, yeah. A lot of fresh horses, don't seem to handle the track, and you see a lot of wide margin winners. Whoever handled Infinite Cosmo, handled it very well. So yeah, just on that one, really. To be fair, I sort of knew it was going to be Newmarket when you said unbalanced, but that is a track that I have been keeping a close eye on, especially this flat season.
And my last one is an international runner that, if he's at some sort of price, will be my nap of the weekend.
If you've somehow managed to find one that I've found, because I'm going international as well. Go on.
Well, mine runs at Belmont Park.
Oh no, I've not gone that far international.
Oh. Yeah, Belmont Park, 10-12, Silver Knot.
Oh,
I do like this horse.
We love the Godolphin over in America, don't we now?
Yeah, I do like this horse. Again, I don't think he was suited by the soft in the Guineas last time out. I think this horse needs good, strong, firm ground. I assume it's going to be that sort of ground over in the Stakes. It's usually quite firm and solid. He did finish 2nd in the Breeders' Cup on firm, but he had an horrendous time. Unlucky, basically, in his ride. He got trapped in 2 furlongs out and was slowly away, but still managed just to get pipped into 2nd. And I think this horse is going to win, and he's my nap. If he's not a Don, yeah, he's my nap.
Rich, I thought you see that little cap in the background.
Nope, this one. Oh, where is it? There we go.
That's the one.
We're almost going to not need a nap section because they've already been mentioned already. Right then, so yeah, I like all them selections. We'll definitely obviously post all them up. I've got sort of one that I quite like and another one that just to give a small mention to. And I'm also going international, but I'm staying in Europe. I'm heading over to France on Sunday for the Group 1, the Prix de Jockey Club. It's a really nice looking race. You've got Big Rock in his favourite. Frankie's going over for a ride on the one we can't pronounce, bombed out at York in the Dante Epsom, whatever you want to call it.
I think there was one word we called it after that run.
We might have called it a few different things after that run. We thought the double was on, the owner's over from America and all that, but it just completely missed out. But yeah.
Just call it Epic.
Yeah.
Epic Titus. I'm going to take the favourite on. I'm going to take Big Rock on. I'm going to go with an each-way play. There's 2 in here I quite like that I'm going to give a mention to. One of them's called Feed the Flame, and it's an horse where jockey Christophe Simeon's on. Won really nice last time out. I think it just looks a really top prospect after the 2 opening wins. I think the ground's going to be absolutely spot on for this one. I think if you're looking for a real improver against the favourite, I think Feed the Flame has got a great chance. I have also backed for the Arc at a big price. If you want to have a look at that, if it wins this one, it's definitely going to go for an Arc type, I think. So that's one I like, Feed the Flame. And the other one I mentioned in the race was American Flag. I think I tipped it up on Twitter, and it was so unlucky. The start just completely bombed the start, and had a lot of ground to make up. So I'd sort of put a line through that, and if it's not taken too much out of that horse, I think American Flag goes close. But I quite like Feed the Flame against Big Rock. And the only one I'll give a small tentative mention to is over in Dusseldorf in Germany for the German 1,000 Guineas Group 2. Oh. This podcast is just getting crazier, isn't it? But there's one that I always you look at these sort of German, in sort of these lower races where I just think you get horses that run not very well in our big races and then go to these other races and just absolutely mop up. And just one I'll give a mention to is Buick's going over to ride for Appleby in the Godolphin colours. Dream of Love, I think, could probably go really close. I don't have the prices, but I think that'd be a decent chance in that race as well. So that's me and the anything else section. Two European winners right there.
Fingers crossed.
The Godolphin double.
And the Godolphin double, yeah, with the silver knot, yeah, love it.
Right,
we'll finish on. Go on.
If the Godolphin double comes in, I'll purchase the cap.
Oh, dearie me, I love it. Right, we'll go with Naps and next best then. So we'll start with us next bests. Who are you going for your next best, Joe? Please.
My next best is Passenger Each Way.
Love it. What about yourself, Rich?
I'm going to go Hurricane Lane.
I'm sure you backed against Hurricane Lane earlier.
Don't think so. Watch it back.
Right, okay. Well, my next best is going to be Astral Bow in the 210 on Saturday. And then we'll finish with our naps. Go on, Joe, who's your nap? Oh, we already told us, I suppose, but remind us.
I wonder if you've watched the podcast all the way through, fair play, and you will know and you will, make profit off it. Soul Sister on the Friday.
Hey, Soul Sister.
Frankie Dettori's going to win a race at Epsom.
Brilliant. Rich, who's your nap again? Are you globetrotting in, did you say?
Yeah, only if he's not odds on, my nap is Silver Knot at Belmont Park. If he is odds on, then I'm the same. Yeah, Soul Sister, I think, is very strong.
Yeah,
fantastic. I'm just checking one thing, but my nap is going to be in the same race, and my nap is going to be Running Lion for Oisin Murphy. I think this progressive filly is going to go very, very close indeed. And I think, fingers crossed, she can beat your lot's Soul Sister and send Frankie packing without anything to finish. I hope we don't have any winners at this meeting. Stick that up, yeah. We didn't see a single flying dismount at York, and I was very disappointed in him. We thought he was saving it for his Dante win. Turns out he wasn't. So, yeah, not happy with him at all. But as long as they all come home safe and sound. And again, I'll just sort of finish on, hopefully there's no disruptions to the races or anything daft like that. Hopefully there's enough security for the idiots, and everything goes off with that hitch. But it's going to be a brilliant day's racing. And I'll let you guys, if you've got any other final notes before we finish off, before the Derby, sorry.
No, not really, mate. I just said, like you said there, sort of enjoy it, It's a great meeting, 2 great days of racing. And let's hope there's no delays or anything, we don't want to see anything like the Grand National or anything like that. We want a nice day's racing, all the horses to come back safe, and maybe if you follow our tips, make a bit of profit too.
Yeah, any last words, Rich? I love that.
No, 2 cracking days, like you both said. Hopefully, there's no funny business and it gets delayed, and they get the 5 minutes of fame, and hopefully everybody can move on and enjoy the racing.
Yeah, just be idiots running into fences and things like that. But fingers crossed, we'll have a big day. Like I say, like and subscribe to the channel if you have watched all this way to the end. We do appreciate all the support on Twitter and on YouTube as well. So like I say, give us a like, give us a subscribe, share it to your mates if you like a bet on the races and stuff like that. And hopefully we've not rambled on too long. And we've picked some winners. Like I say, most of the selections we put on Twitter and stuff. So watch out for those. And like I say, keep watching, and hopefully we'll see you all next time. We're not sure. We'll probably have another podcast soon. And then obviously we're going to have Royal Ascot in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be another big one. We'll have a couple of shows for that, no doubt. Maybe
can I just interrupt quickly while you're on that topic?
Yeah.
I am going to Royal Ascot on the Wednesday, Thursday. So I'll be getting some videos, hopefully some stuff off, when we spoke to Mick Fitz and Oisin and stuff. So fingers crossed, we'll have the podcast, and then I'll get some stuff for there for Twitter. So yeah, we'll try and branch out a bit more, and then we look forward to the E-Ball where hopefully we'll be reunited.
We certainly will, mate. I think the E-Ball's going to be is already in the calendar, so we'll definitely be doing at least one day for the E-Ball, and we'll try and get a few other bits in there. And like I say, plenty of videos, plenty of content that we could try and bring for you, and we'll just get collaring these jockeys and trainers and seeing what they all say about the day. But yeah, Absolutely brilliant, lads. Right, we'll finish there. Let's have a big weekend for the derby, and fingers crossed. So that's bye from myself, and we'll see you both next time. Thank you very much, guys.
Take care. Cheers.
Take care. See you later.
Bye bye.